Hi, my name is Tamara, and you are watching Things You and a Monkey Should Know. Thanks so much for watching again today. As you know, if you've watched some of my other videos, I'm not a professional at this do-it-yourself stuff. I'm just a girl who's figured out that there are a lot of things around the house and out in the yard and on my cars that I can do myself and save myself a whole lot of time and sometimes even some cash. So hopefully I've saved you both those things too now. So today we're doing everybody's favorite job, which is plumbing. If you have watched my segments for a while, then you will have seen that quite some time ago I replaced the cartridge inside of a single-handled growy faucet. Well, I've still continued to have problems with that thing. It worked great for a couple months, then it quit. And I'm just sick of messing with it, so I am going to completely replace it. So we are doing that today. Well, you know how we like to work in tight spaces. This is another one of those situations, of course. Okay, so the things that you're going to need today will be, of course, your new faucet, which this is mine, and these are the directions, and well, they're terrible, so we're gonna just not even pay attention to those. And it came, so the faucet came with some hoses, but they were too short. So you need to make sure that you measure. I got some extension hoses. So just make sure that your hoses are gonna be long enough. You probably wanna have a little towel around, just in case of water leaks. A bucket, shouldn't really need the bucket, but it's never a bad idea to have one handy. You'll probably want to have a flashlight. And you know, since this faucet has been in here about 20 years, I'm really afraid that I'm going to find out that things are corroded and very hard to get off. So here's hoping that is not the case. But because of that, I do have various and sundry wrenches available. And I also have a hammer, and I have other tools, you know, within easy reach, like various screwdrivers and things like that. So, you know, usually I know I'm a lot more specific on the tools, but in my case, because I don't know exactly how bad this is going to be to get off, just have some heavy duty stuff handy. The last thing that you may need would be what do they call this? Plumber's tape or wrapping tape, or there's several different names for it. I don't really think I'll need it, but since it is a good trip back to the store, if I didn't have it and needed it, then I decided to go ahead and get it. So I think that is all that we're going to need today. Let's hope. So I have one last thing to add that I decided to do is I'm going to go ahead and replace the quarter turn straight valves, which is what turns the water on and off to the sink. The ones that are down there are really old, you know, 20 years old, and that's pretty old for a valve. So I think it would be a really good idea just go ahead and replace them. So I am going to do that. So that would be the last thing that you need is 2 of those. And make sure that you match them to your correct pipe size. So since we are going to be replacing those quarter turn valves too, we will go ahead and turn off the water to the house, which the main valve is right here, because otherwise I'll wind up taking those off and it'll be a big open hole in the floor for water to come out of, and that would be very bad. So now it's off. Okay, we are now ready to begin taking off our valves here. So I am going to go ahead and install, you know, these new quarter turn straight valves now. And you notice I did not put any plumber's putty on here or any tape. It's actually recommended not to do that because these are supposed to seal just on their own. Now, if I turn the water on and I come in and I find out that it has started to leak, then I will go ahead and put some tape on it to seal it. So we got one installed there. So we'll go ahead and do the second one. So I just want to go ahead and note, guys, that I did actually wind up tightening these up quite a bit more. I turned the water back on and just to test them and make sure they didn't leak, and they did, so I tightened them until they didn't leak anymore. And whenever I was thinking about it, whenever I was taking them off, they were actually pretty well tight on there. So we got that out of the way. So now the time has come to try to get this this faucet out of here, and I'm gonna be honest, I do not really know how this thing is in here. So I'm kind of going on blind faith that this has got a major part to do with it being in here, and yay, it looks like I might be correct. So this is taking out, yeah, there we go, taking out that part there. Faucet's loose now. So we have the faucet loose, which is fantastic. Now, we do have these old hoses left on here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and grab my wrench. Let me make sure you guys can see this. Where these hoses connect, it's actually a little nut, I believe. I hope it should be. And I'm gonna go ahead and just loosen these so that I can just, oops, let that drop down through the hole in the counter here. I'm gonna be honest here, I don't know how to get these stainless steel hoses off of this faucet, and I want them off, and I'm not gonna be using any of that stuff again. And remember how I said I am not a professional at this stuff? Well, I learn as I go. But anyway, since I'm not using this again, I'm just gonna go ahead and use a nice pair of bolt cutters, and I'm gonna try to chew this line off because I don't wanna deal with it, and I'm not gonna use it anyways. So my hope is that this will work. Maybe. I also have this nice pair of tin snips that took care of what the bolt cutters wouldn't. So that's helpful. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it on the other one. I know y'all are all watching and laughing, but you know, you do what you gotta do to make stuff work. So I'll chew through this as best I can. And besides, you also don't know how much I really despise this water faucet because it's leaked and caused a lot of trouble. So I really don't mind messing it up. Kind of feels good, actually. Okay, faucet's loose. Hoses are loose. Hooray! Okay, well, so the next thing that we want to do is we want to hook up our new hoses to our new faucet prior to fitting it down into the hole. So I'm just going to go ahead and let's see, hot is always on the left. This does not demarcate which one of these valves is for the hot, but we're kind of going on faith here that it's going to be normal. And so the hoses already come you know, with their washers and all that. So I'm just going to go ahead, screw it in here. So now we want to get this thing ready to actually go in that hole, and we have, whoops, I thought I just dropped everything down the drain. We have this, which is essentially, whoops, not from that end, the bracket and everything that screws into it. And so this is going to screw up into there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to thread this over these hoses. And I'm going to go ahead and screw it into the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this down. It doesn't have to be overly terribly tight. And then I'm going to thread this stuff down through here, and that is quite a snug little fit. that is okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and, like I said a minute ago, I'm gonna thread this piece. I'm gonna thread it up these hoses and just find this, and I'm gonna go ahead and screw it as tight as I can, because otherwise the faucet is gonna be all wobbly and weird and unpleasant to use. So this is also the stage at which once we get a little closer up there, you want to make sure that the faucet is properly aligned with the sink. So things that are good for you guys to know, and again, part of the whole reason why I like to do things myself is because I do learn in the process. You know, sometimes things will spring a leak, and just observe that, well, I don't know how well you can see this. I hope maybe you can, but there is actually a little rubber O-ring in there. And over time, rubber is going to rot away, and it can make your hoses spring leaks. Ideally, you would not have two hoses connected under the sink, but I don't really have much choice because they don't sell them long enough and with the correct ends to fit onto my faucet. But it's just something to keep in mind, like if you ever get a little leak, you can actually replace the O-ring in there. So it's just good to know. So at this point, there's also a rubber washer in this piece here. Again, let me lift up the light so you can see that. The black part is the rubber washer. So at some point that is going to have to be replaced, but it's just good to know that. Keep it in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to connect, whoops, I'm going to try to connect these hoses all together. So as you're very well aware, we need to turn on the waters before anything happens. That was not very dramatic. Let's see, making sure to see if there's any leaks anywhere. Everything feels dry. That is wonderful. That's exactly what we want. And now let's check out our faucet itself. Our faucet is sitting very innocently here, so well, that is just wonderful. It works, it doesn't leak. There's no leaks. The other one would leak from the bottom and from everywhere, and this is fantastic. Well, I am not gonna lie, you guys. This is not one of those days that I could say, see how easy that is, because it wasn't very easy. Well, I guess it was okay, but it was full of things that I didn't really want to do, like those the handles down there where you turn the water on and off. But I looked at the ones that I had, and they had been having some leaking problems, and so I thought, you know, they're 20 years old. It's probably time to change them. But the good thing is, you know, there were a few points at which I thought I might have to give in and call a plumber, but I didn't, and I was able to get this installed and without leaks, and I feel pretty proud of that. So that's part of the whole point of this, is to show you that if I can do it, there's a good chance that you can do it too. So I hope you enjoyed today's show, and thanks very much for tuning in. If you have not subscribed already, please go ahead and subscribe. There is a little button up in the corner that you can press that will do that really quickly for you. Thanks very, very much to everybody who has subscribed already, and I'll see you again soon.